Alright, ladies and gents, let's go into a nice replay here of a ZVT that I played. This was the revenge match from a ladder game that we played earlier on Golden Aura, where our lovely opponent went for 3 starport Banshee and caught me completely by surprise and killed all my shit. So this time I wanted to throw a wrench into their equation because the build that they went for last game, so this is a little bit of mind gaming based on the previous match. The build that they went for, Hellions into 3-port Banshee, has a weak point in dealing with early roaches. So this game, I went for almost exactly the same as my normal build. I'll show you how I did it. But then instead of spending 100 gas on Ling Speed, I made 4 roaches instead. Not a huge commitment. I didn't mass roaches. I didn't roach all in. I just spent the amount of gas that I would have spent on Ling Speed on a few roaches to keep my opponent honest. So you've seen me do this build before, 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. Nothing weird about it. Very normal. Very standard. Okay. We got hatch gas pool going. Rallying the drones into the gas, as a Zerg is often wont to do. Cool. Opponent is probably watching this replay too. They might be. It's nice to keep a few pet roaches around the base. Okay, we pulled off gas. We get our 3rd base. Everything is going according to plan. Ish. Okay, aside from that drone being killed, everything is going according to plan. I'm also delaying one of my queens a little bit to be able to afford the roaches. So that's basically what I have to do to make the 4 roach attack work, but still make my build look normal, is I delay my 3rd queen and I delay my Ling Speed. Those are the 2 main things I have to sacrifice to be able to be aggressive with 4 roaches early. So I just built my roach warren nice and early. The Reaper was down in my natural, so I figured they were less likely to scout around in the main. And I have 4 roaches on the way. And then I'm just going to go back to droning. Production tab, let's watch this. While I attack and while they defend, what does the production tab look like? How good was my macro behind this pressure? This is light pressure. I'm not all in, but it's something that my opponent has to deal with. It takes 3 roaches to 1-hit a Reaper and also an SCV. So it's nice to send 3-ish. So I'm sending 4, just making sure they're all grouped up. Because if they're grouped up, I'm more likely to get a kill on the Reaper. Injecting my bases before I move out. It's like taking a breath before you swim. Remember to inject your bases before you micro. I have an Overlord going. Drones. I tried to sneak up toward the Reaper. Instead of just attacking whenever they're in range, I move commanded up a little bit to make sure they all fired at once. And took out the Reaper. Queen's injecting. Getting some creep going. And I'm making 9 drones. 9 drones, and then I'm running at SCVs. There's 1 kill. Going up the ramp here. I see a bunker on the high ground. I try to focus that SCV. We get him. And then here, I'm going to go for a very advanced maneuver called walking back home. A little bit supply block for me, but I do have 2 overloads on the way. There are cyclones out, so I'm not going to be able to deal much more damage with the roaches. But the power of these 4 roaches isn't just the fact that I have 4 roaches. This is also the threat of an all-in. My opponent doesn't know how many drones I have. They have a 3rd orbital command. So if they go out on the map with these units, and I happen to have 30 lings as well, they're dead and the game is over. So they actually have to play really safe right now because they know I have roach tech and they don't know the status of my drones or my lings. This is the downside of them playing greedy. They weren't able to leverage any pressure with the Hellions because my roaches pushed them back and damaged them somewhat. So they're trying to move out of the map, but it's pretty risky to do so. I don't really know whether my opponent's going bio or mech, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. I'm mixing in some Ravagers just to heal the injured Roach. I'm making Roach speed and Ling speed and 2 Evos. The last time I played this opponent, they played bio. Or sorry, they played just Mass Banshee into mech. So I wasn't sure if I was getting ready to fight bio or mech. So I'm just kind of being prepared for both until I find out what's up. Going for a 4th base here. And then the units tab. I'm a little bit ahead in workers. I have plenty of army to defend myself. Maybe even too much army. And then now I'm going to get both attack upgrades. This means that my Roaches are a little bit stronger, my Ravagers are a bit stronger, and my Ling Bane will be stronger. And I can pivot into whichever tech is more appropriate once I find out whether they're going mech or bio. Now I'm just removing some Lings from my army group to see when they take their 3rd. And I just want to keep droning. I see they have some stuff by the watchtower. I have a big supply lead, but a lot of that is in Roaches. As chat pointed out, I could basically do a better job of spreading out overlords. There's a lot of dead space down here in this bottom corner, and I lost some of my bases to drops. So if I had better overlord spread kind of in these areas, just on the fringe of the map, that would be really good. Spotterlings are very strong. There were multiple tryhard streams where that was my main emphasis, and I feel like it's paid off. It's one of the strongest moves that Zerg can do. And the reason it's so good for Zerg is because their spotter unit is so fast, and also it only costs half a supply and 25 minerals, so it's one of the cheapest spotter scout units you can have. Protoss would need to have a probe or a zealot, which is more expensive, and then Terran would need to have a marine or something. Just doesn't feel as good for Terran and Protoss to do that. Queens. Getting a kill, nice. And now I'm just attacking them. I felt like after they hit me with the drops, and I killed a lot of their stuff, I might as well go hit them. And now I'm going to hotkey my reinforcement units in the queen group. So you can see group 9, I have my queens and my eggs that we're going to reinforce. That means the army can just focus on attacking here. So I'm attacking and defending at the same time by using the steal command feature. Cool. Lots of pressure. Income tab should show me making tons of money right now. Yeah, we're way ahead. Way ahead in the income department. So I can afford a 4th base and a 5th base at the same time. Bane speed is going. And I know that it's bio now, so... Ling Bane Ultra, maybe with some air units, just to make my life a little bit easier in dealing with these medivac harass plays. Speaking of pet roaches, do you think it's cruel to wire a computer to a real-life roach to try to control its mind? Well, I think one of the easiest strategies for trying to assess the ethics of a situation is imagine if it would be cruel if it were applied to yourself. If someone wired a computer to your brain and tried to control you, would that seem cruel to you? Or would you be into it? The difference is, humans can grant consent for testing, whereas the bug can't really say, yes, I would like you to do this to me. But people can. Okay, so they're being annoying with multiple groups of drops. This is good play from our opponent. 2 medivacs on either side of the map. That means I should also divide my forces somewhat. Nice catch of those Marines. That was a blunder from me. The Bane should have been control click to run into the Marines, not the tanks. But killing the tanks is not bad. It's not bad, so I wouldn't consider it a huge mistake. It's like a medium mistake. I just lost 2 bases at once. I might not have if I had more vision out here. Or if my left side army group was a little bit closer to that base. I've lost a lot of workers. They just killed a bunch of mine. Yeah. They've killed 19 of my drones. pretty impressive that they only lost 6 when I made them lift their 3rd. Now I have burrow and overlord speed, so I'm putting a burrowed ling over there to delay this base. This ling got so much value. So much value. Do you get to play StarCraft with that interface? Do you mean the... Why did you go home after making him lift his 3rd? Because there wasn't really an ability for me to break into the natural with tanks on the high ground and behind the wall, so I didn't have a next logical attack point. Aside from maybe trying to check for a 4th. So this is a pretty good push. We push with ultras. I did lose a base during the chaos. My momentum with the push here is petering out a little bit. What are your thoughts on doom dropping lurkers and their production? It's not as good as nidusing them, just because whenever the lurkers are in the overlords, they're vulnerable to marines stimmed or missile turrets or whatever. But if you have a nidus, they just walk out of the nidus and burrow immediately. Like trying to fly over to the Terran base, they have sensor towers, which means they would see the overlords and they would have time to react to them. They have really good sensor tower coverage. There's like one opening over here where I could fly them up this way. Lurkers on the production are very, very good. So if you get them there, that's great. But I think getting them there with the nidus is better than getting them there with the drop. But lurker drops are definitely funny. So that counts for something. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're kind of nidusing at the expansion locations just to further delay them. Clearing up drops with corruptors now. I gave it to my opponent. They're absolutely fighting it out. And Terran does have the late game option of playing a turtle ghost style, where they try to absorb all my attacks by sniping the ultras, massing up tanks, and just making it really inefficient for me to attack into them. So I am ahead, and I've been ahead for a while, but I haven't been able to just straight up kill my opponent. They have a decent amount of supply. They're still applying pressure, sending whatever drops they can. I tried to unburrow and run those into more SCVs, but the tank was able to kill them. That's fine. Going for another attack. I want to see the units lost tab through this. Yeah, pretty even. They're a little bit more efficient. Queens are injecting. I'm getting spores up. Massing lings pretty much constantly. Making ultras as well. You don't really need to make ultras in the late game. You could just play Lingbane Corruptor with 3/3 and Adrenal. But ultras are really nice for spending your money fast. Especially if your injects aren't perfect. Interesting Viking group there. I don't know why they have those. You can't really attack into that. This is a good example of a base that is so heavily anchored with static defense, tanks, and ghosts that this is probably the worst place I could take a fight. Yeah, even attacking here at the 3rd base or the natural is relatively better. So whenever you get frustrated with Turtle Terran, just look at the replay and think about, all right, what is the very best place for the Turtle Terran to take a fight? It would be here. So if you attacked into this and you took a bad fight, don't complain about imbalance. Look at the whole rest of their territory and say, what if I attacked here instead? There is a tank, no planetaries, no missile turrets. This would be a better spot to hit, which is why I didn't commit at this base with this army. No need. No need to. They can have that base. They invested a lot of defense there. Very neat defense too. I'd say efficient for the cost of it. might be able to hit it now since their army was out of position. They kind of outmaneuvered me there. So I'm maxed. My opponent's getting close to being maxed though. They're pretty starved for minerals. Trying to amass more Banes. Oh, I think this is where I Neuro the tank. Yeah. I Neuraled the tank and I was focusing the ghosts. Ha! It's fun. Once again, a relatively inefficient exchange for me. But I'm the one with the bank and with the greater income, so it's okay. We just need to consistently remax. Production tab, we have 92 Lings and 5 Ultras. Beautiful. Burrow the drones to keep them alive. Corruptors are putting in work. Clearing stuff. I think I have +1 attack for my Corruptors. No, +2 attack. Wow. They really clear Liberators and Medivacs. Your favorite moment in this stream is when I call Banelings bombas. Yeah, bombas. This Liberator gets owned by the Spore Crawler. Good job, Spore Crawler. Making more bombas. This Infestor is looking for plays. This Infestor was part of the original group of Infestors that I made, but I split them up. Because if you keep all your Infestors in one clump, they just get EMP'd and it's sad. So having just 1 to 2 for the fights is really nice. You don't really need a ton more than that. That's such a good tank spot. Look at that tank. Look at such a good spot. Oh my gosh. How many kills does this guy have? 25 kills. He's a commander. He's playing tank commander over here. Sweet action. He had 1 million scans somehow. Yeah, that's because he has 6 orbitals. Yeah, 6 orbitals. Some of them are just for scans and mules. It's not even a base. Like this one, this is just a scan center. The rest of them are normal bases though. And they flew this one out because they killed their planetary. But yeah, we really came out on top this game from taking tempo in the match by applying some pressure with roaches and then another follow-up attack at the third with Ling Roach Ravager. And then being able to deflect, or at least eventually deal with their drop pressure by splitting our army into multiple groups. And then our ability to just remax consistently with a reasonable economy. And they're all out of gas. They're down to 42 supply and game is over. Excellent revenge match. Got more of a standard game this time. Look at the creep too. Wow. You feel like you own the place with this much creep. GG. Well fought by the Terran.